We will call this meeting to order. Regular city council meeting, city of Dalhart, Monday, February 28th. First item on the agenda is the prayer. Parker, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Lord, thank you for letting us be able to gather, Lord, to make decisions for the city. I pray that you're with us to go throughout our week. Thank you for the good weather. Pray that you're with all the employees, that they can just do their job and be successful in every facet of life. Just thank you again for letting us be able to gather here. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please stand with me as we recite the pledge of the United States and the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Next item on the agenda is a consent agenda consisting of minutes from the February 14th, 2022 regular meeting and February 17th, 2022 special meeting.
Make a motion to accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 1 on the regular agenda is public comments. Anybody sign up?
Not that I know.
Item number 2, discussion concerning First and Texas Street.
Mayor and council, this item is on the agenda this evening for discussion. As you are aware, you all started looking at this before the end of 2021. Staff was directed to obtain a survey of the property. We did receive that. You have all received a copy of the survey. There are obviously some issues that we need to deal with. You also have in your packet a copy of the CAD map that we received that shows all the properties as well as the right of ways. I think that Ms. Reynolds is here this evening and would like to talk with council about it. And as a reminder, we did talk about going into executive session to look at the legal aspects of this situation.
Okay. Ms. Reynolds, speak with us, please. Thank you for coming.
Thank y'all, appreciate it. I just had some questions, and I believe that y'all do have the copies of the questions and all that I have come up with. We just like some clarification, any resolutions that have come up at this time concerning this property. The first one has already been mentioned as far as the survey. So you have received it, as I understand, and just anything definite on it, I guess is what I'm looking for right now on this survey.
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking for in terms of definite, but it does show the property line across the way from yours where it's currently located.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, that was kind of one of the questions that is on there. Was it concerning the kids, my kids' property, or the property across? The survey.
The survey looks at your properties primarily in relation to Texas.
Okay.
It does show the property line of the property across the street from you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, then relocation. I understand there's to be a relocation of the gas line. Why and where?
The gas line is actually on private property and there is no easement for it. So the owner has asked Atmos to move their line. They do not know yet where they're going to put it. Some of that depends on what the council may do in regard to Texas. I'm not sure what their options are. We just don't know yet, but they do need to put it somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay, all right. Well, Atmos had called me.
Okay, good.
And had just visited me. They didn't have a time frame that they were going to do this. And they did say that it would take approximately 2 to 4 weeks. So, okay. Then on Texas Street, I had been told, that it's not a street or not considered a street. If it's not a street, then what is it? I mean, is it just a dirt road that's been plowed through there? It has a name.
As far as we know, and looking back to records as early as 1940, there's been a street there called Texas, and it's been used as a street all that time. And so we consider it to be a street.
So,
That's how
okay.
we treat it.
Okay. All right. So in here, the dimensions for the survey, once they're, well, they will have been determined for street center line. How is that determined? Because the property line from across the street is moved out into that street. That was a wider street than normal streets are. So,
As it stands right now, the gentleman owning the mobile home park has put his fence on his property line.
yes,
The
ma'am.
remainder of Texas at its widest is just shy of 31 feet.
Right.
And so the center line from the remainder of the street that's in place would be 15 feet.
Like
on each
15
side.
feet.
Yes.
All right. So that, okay. All right. Now, if that is a street, then the motorhome or mobile manufactured home, let's put it like that, lot there will be considered a corner lot. Is this correct?
I assume so. I have not actually looked at it in that vein. I mean, your kids' property is almost a corner lot. It's directly across.
Cross, yes, ma'am.
And so I think it would be considered a corner lot, yes.
Okay. Then I had questions as far as the fence, the height on there in particular, since it is a corner lot. And I have just gone down through and you'll notice in number 4 there, the city ordinance, chapter 17, article 6. And I was just needing, it's kind of confusing at best, as you well know, I'm sure, if you're going through your ordinances and all. But so how is that fence to be considered with it being a corner lot? Because it obstructs vision on First Street. People coming off there, since that is still considered a street. So with it being the height that it is, my question is, why was that not 4 foot across?
4 foot high?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know the answer to that question, Ms. Reynolds.
Okay.
In order to put the fence in, I would imagine that he had to get a permit.
Mhm.
And they would have issued the permit based on what was appropriate in the ordinance, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay. Alrighty. Because as I say, with it being a corner lot and you've got, say it's an 8 foot or a 10 foot fence here, then you're coming up to that at the stop sign. And it obstructs your view unless you pull on out. And most of you are well aware of the intersection there. That's just one of my concerns. And if I would appreciate y'all, if you check deeper into that for me, please. All right, trucks parking on First Street. Those who live in that manufactured home park. Now, I noticed that there are some of them pulling on up in that area of the park, but there's still 1 or 2 at times that park on that street. Is that allowable?
Are we talking semi trucks?
Yes, ma'am.
Flatbed type of trucks?
They're not a flatbed. Most of them are grain trucks. Hauling.
Okay. Well, First Street is a TxDOT street.
Mhm.
And I guess I would have to see is there any posting for no parking? If there's not
Not-
any posting for no parking and it's not in the residential area, I don't think there would be a problem with them parking there, is there? Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, but why would that not be considered a residential area, even though that it was rezoned from an R3 to the manufactured home park.
I would just have to look at the set requirements, Ms. Reynolds. I do
Okay.
not know what those are.
Okay,
But
all
we
right.
will look at those for you.
I would,
I
Dennis?
know that our code enforcement right now is looking into the trucks that are parking in the manufactured home park as,
Mhm.
I know they're doing that. But that being a state road,
That
they
takes
probably could park that, but I don't know. We'd have to look at
We would just need to
We'd have to look
ask
at that,
Okay.
yeah. But
all
I
right.
know we're looking at the,
internal
All the roads are
to
looking
the
at-
park.
for the park itself.
Great, thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you on that. Okay, as it stands right now, then, Morgana and her family or anybody of us that try to pull up into their driveway from whether it's First Street or whether it's Texas
Mhm.
at that intersection there, it's still, I mean, if you're going east on First and you come to Texas and you're trying to get into this home where they live, they have to come up a little further and then come in this way because they cannot, if there's a vehicle sitting here,
Mhm.
there's just no way. I mean, it's a hazard. It's a safety right there for one thing, because that backs up traffic here. And it backs up traffic on the Texas Street, on your northbound or the southbound. So,
We will take a look at that.
okay, all right. Okay, and number 7, I've got a little X by there, if you'll notice that, because I had already printed these out when I had Morgana check on that and everything, and we drive by ever so often just to see, because we feel like, as I say, those are my kiddos that are over there, and I'm concerned about the most of all, their safety and how it's going to be looking around there. But so I just kind of X that one out. All right, then my next question down there is, why are the iron posts outside the owner's property line? How can that be? Because that
Well-
fence is the property line.
No, the fence is not the property line. The fence, what he did is he put them posts on the property line and then he put the fence, but he put his post there and they're on his property.
Okay, but he had that fence built in first
Yes,
before those iron posts were put. We were told that fence was the property line.
no,
If that's the property line, then they have placed those posts out there, which comes back. This is where the kids have to back into or whatever. And the reason that Mr. Berryman told me that he put those there was because he didn't want somebody running into his fence.
but he put them on it's on the property line, those posts.
Okay, well,
So
we
they're
were,
on his property line. His fence is about a foot, maybe 18 inches
Inside.
inside his
uh-huh.
property. So the post. that you're
oh, see,
referring to
all right, so
They're
we
on
were
his city.
misinformed on that.
is-
We were told that
Yeah.
that property
No, the
was the
posts are on his
fence.
property.
Okay, all right. Okay. Those are all my questions right now. They're just concerns that we have, and I've gotten some of my answers, but I do appreciate it if, y'all would kind of look into this other for us. All right,
Ms. Reynolds, we definitely understand your frustration.
kind of, sort
Yes, ma'am.
of. Thank you.
We're working to come up with a solution of some sort.
I hope so, whatever we can, because that narrow of a road is, I mean, you might as well be out in the country with that little puppy.
Yes, ma'am. I think Dennis had something to add. Dennis?
Yeah, I want to add some for your all's consideration. Okay, Curtis and I done some exploring today on that. Okay, it says on this deal, you guys can see it says 31 foot. Well, that 31 foot will put it right there, a couple of foot from that girls,
Mhm.
the children's trailer. Okay, but if we was to go 24 foot, it could probably handle two-way traffic, because we have a road over here, if y'all are familiar with B Street, right across from the post office,
Mhm.
that's 23 foot with a curb and gutter. So the reason I'm bringing this up, if y'all want to look at that, but if we do that, we're gonna have to move that radius on the state. It's gonna, Curtis had gotten a bid on that, it'll be about $5,500 to $6,000 for us to
do the turning
make
movement.
that turning, yeah, to give us that 24 foot. And that'll leave 6 foot. You know, there on her property. If we wanted to do that. It's just-
Well, that's, I mean, it's such a narrow road and you've got traffic coming across
Mhm.
from Tennessee across First Street headed north. And you've got a vehicle headed south from Texas.
Mhm.
They're just,
It'll make it a tight situation, but I just thought I'd let y'all know that we have something that's 23 foot that's been working for a long time. If y'all want to do it over here, it's gonna be about 24 foot, but it's gonna cost the city about $5,500 to $6,000 to do that radius.
But Dennis, and the one you're referring to,
Mhm.
is it paved and guttered road?
Yes, you'll see this thing. That occurs to me. You know, I'm bringing
It's
this.
another option for us.
Another option.
That's an option there.
Okay.
To closing it or whatever we're gonna do, but that's an option if we wanna make that. And I will look into that fence with, I'll get with code tomorrow. Because there is, you know, you have to slope it down. But I'm thinking, I may be wrong, but don't quote me on it, but they may be far enough off the right of way where they can keep that 6 foot fence. And then, but I'll get with Paul and we'll look at that.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then, yeah, they'll have to be 6 foot and start going 4 foot and go to 3 foot.
Yeah.
So when you drive up to it, you can see the traffic coming that way.
Great.
So I'll check on that.
all right.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis. Item number 3, consider and act upon recommend.
Were we gonna go into executive?
You want to do that
session?
now? Okay.
It's on the back of your agenda, citation,
Okay.
at the very bottom. Last sentence, I think. It is code 551.071 551.074 and 551.086.
City Council will now convene into executive session under the Texas Local Government Code 551.074 and 551.086 for discussion of
Property issues.
property issues. This time we will come out of executive session. Time is 6:51 PM. No action was taken. To let Ms. Reynolds know we're gonna.
Oh, yeah, you can report that we're going to do more work.
So Ms. Reynolds, we're going to do some more research. I hate to keep prolonging this for you, but we just need it. We need some more time to figure out what we can do here. And so we'll be getting back with you sooner than later.
All right, thank
I
you.
do apologize. We don't have an answer for you tonight, but we're working on it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3, consider and act upon recommendation from Hotel Occupancy Tax Committee to help fund Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce for advertising.
And do you want me to start, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mayor and Council, on February 21st, the committee met to hear the request from the Chamber of Commerce concerning funds for that'll be targeting advertising. And they did agree and recommend approval to the City Council. I think Ashley is here tonight, who can answer any specific questions that you have. One of the last pages in your packet with the applications shows the dollar breakdown of how the money will be spent. But again, Ashley can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I don't think so. Just to clarify, you're asking for less money this year than you did last year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the funds are available.
They are.
Okay.
I did speak with Sammy. He called me
Oh,
this
good.
morning. He was confused. He's not using the same billboard company
Oh.
as us. It's, when you hear it over the phone, they sound the same, but it's not. His is Landmark and his is Lamar. So there's nothing that can be done as far. He was gonna try to get a price break for us for one of the billboards because it's pretty expensive. But
I got a question. Aren't some of these billboards for the city, not necessarily for the chamber?
right, they're all tourism billboards.
So that's not really in your budget. It's more of the city.
Hotel
Just
occupancy budget.
goes through you. Okay.
They're all under contract and were approved by the hotel occupancy for the 3 years. Of course, we go and request yearly for that.
All right. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for Ashley? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the request from Chamber of Commerce to fund the advertising budget for our area Chamber of Commerce.
So moved.
Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Abstain. I'm a member. A board member.
Item number 4, consider and act upon a lease agreement with Dalhart ISD for the Ag Barn.
Mayor and Council, the school district has approached the city to formalize the use of a piece of property that is in your packet that they have been using for a number of years without any lease agreement in place. Currently, they do use it for agricultural uses with the 4-H, but their proposal, and I'll let the superintendent speak to it, would create a building on site. In your map, you'll see that it's directly behind the animal shelter and then down from the wastewater treatment plant.
I think a lease agreement had come up before y'all a couple months ago. And when we got it on our side, it was for a 5-year lease. And we know that, we've heard that they do leases out at the airport about 20 years. And since we're going to put basically a building on there, we just wanted a longer term lease. And so that's kind of what we're coming back and asking for now, which is a 20-year lease like it's been set precedence at the airport.
That makes sense.
Because the land in front of it's leased already to the XIT Rangers.
Is it on a 20-year lease as well?
It's a Last I heard, it was a 99-year lease.
Yeah, we can go for that too.
That was a long time ago.
Well, and really, I don't think we would have any challenges, but because we're looking at putting a facility with taxpayer money on there, our lawyers highly recommended that we get something in lease agreement with you.
So that building will be funded by taxpayers, is that correct? Okay,
It went from being just a little bitty, hey, I want to put up a shed here to house some animals to we're gonna have to put restroom facilities and stuff like that out there, make it ADA
sure,
compliant and so forth. It's gonna be a challenge.
okay.
Greg, do you agree with their lease agreement that they sent with us?
Actually, I prepared it.
You did?
Yeah,
you do
agree.
That was my one question for you.
Does anybody have any apprehension about extending it from 5 to 20?
The only thing that came up in there was maintenance in relationship to upkeep of the property. I watch it, maintain it properly, and it's maintained, doesn't get out of hand.
So the school district, I guess, would do the mowing and the property maintenance around there.
With the sheep, the stuff.
There you go.
Yes.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the lease agreement with Dalhart ISD for the ag barn for the 20-year lease agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5, consider and act upon annual Dalhart Police Department report, fiscal year 2021, and racial profiling report.
Mayor and council, the police chief is, the interim police chief is here. Really to answer any questions that you may have. This is an annual report that is filed. The racial profiling report is required by law. The rest of it is just an overview of the department, but certainly the chief can answer any questions that you might have. Over there. Good, thank you.
Good evening.
Oh, we would.
How are y'all? Good. Last year started out okay. And then we lost several officers, almost all at once. So many officers that one was involved in an accident on 1061, and I had to move from investigations to cover patrol. And so that had an impact on some of the cases that we were able to do. I mean, I did them and I did what I could. We finally got to where I could go back. And then we were going to make some organizational changes. I was going to move from investigations, from the lieutenant investigations to lieutenant over patrol. And then the resignation from Chief Connor came, and now I'm here. So we're okay. I am losing an officer here in the next couple of weeks due to health issues with one of their kiddos, which is completely understandable. Hoping not to lose anymore because we're almost at minimum. So close that I may also be covering patrol again, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that because we need to be out there.
If I could interrupt, Chief. He came to me late this afternoon with that we have 2 to 3 more that may be resigning, which would put us in, I mean, we still can cover, but everybody's going to have to pitch in, and it's not a desirable situation for us to be in. And so one of the things that we're quickly doing is looking at the issues, and we will have a report for council on it.
So if those 2 to 3 more move on, how short or how many personnel?
Well, I'll have to take both of my detectives and put them on the street, and then I'll have to cover as well. I'll be on the street as well.
Can we get help from the county at all?
I'm sure we could. And it's just a bridge we haven't crossed yet. I didn't get a chance to call Chance and Shane this afternoon, but that's going to be one of the first things I do tomorrow. Contact them and tell them, hey, we might be in some hot water as far as coverage. And they've extended their help before, and they have said that if it comes to it, they will also help. So I have no doubt that they will. We're gradually improving the relationship between agencies, which is something that we have sorely needed. And we're trying to bridge that gap. As far as activity, the best number that increased was the cases cleared either by arrest or exceptionally cleared. That means solved cases. It's a fancy way of saying solved cases and ready sent for prosecution. Compared to 2020 and 2021, let's see, 2020, we had a 67% clearance rate, and we went up almost 20% to 86% last year. So I was pretty happy with that number. We also cleared more cases than we did the year before. Unfortunately, we did have officers assaulted last year, from 1 in 2020 to 4 in 2021. Nothing serious, thankfully, but still happen. Our value of property stolen and value of property recovered was substantially better than 2020. 2020 value of property stolen was 224,527, and the value of property recovered was only 86,609. This last year in 2021, the value of property stolen did increase from that to $388,842, but there was an increase in the recovered property, and it was $247,685. The numbers that I did not like was our sexually based crimes did increase. It only increased by 4, but it still makes a huge difference. Most of those were cleared, though. I will say that of those 15, I think there was only 2, and those were questionable at best. And I hate to say that, but circumstances just weren't there for them to be cleared up. But we did clear most of those. We had more felony cases. But we were, like I said, we cleared a lot more than we did the year before. And I don't think that had anything to do with COVID. It was a tough time, 2020, and 2021 was a little bit better, but we made it through. Crashes, 157 for Dalhart County and 42 for Harley County. And we had 1 fatality in Dalhart County, and that was the incident that occurred on First Street in August, right before XIT. But that one is going up for prosecution, I believe, this March, like this next month. So we were happy with that. Now, my animal control, Quint does an amazing job. He really goes out there, works. He does his best. The best number there is the euthanized animals. We do not like doing that. We try to avoid it if at all possible. And he has done a tremendous job finding people that will adopt out dogs. So in 2020, unfortunately, we euthanized 131 animals. 2021, we only euthanized 15. Quint came in and really did some good work, and he's continuing to do that. So I'm really happy with what he's doing. And the racial profiling report is required by the state. It was submitted to TCOL at the beginning of February. I finished that report and turned it in. And actually the due date's tomorrow. So I completed that, thankfully, with a month's time. And there was no corrections. Usually it shows where there might be some discrepancies, but we didn't have any. We also didn't have any complaints of racial profiling this last year, and we like to keep it that way.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
The burglaries, you had 30 in 2020 and.
That I think did have a lot to do with COVID. So there were people that were not calling us. And we had actually started an online reporting system, and that didn't really, we were thinking that would increase, the reporting of that, and it didn't. I know personally, I think I took 2 online reports.
People just weren't reporting that their property was stolen.
And they still don't. But this last year, honestly, I think people got fed up because it was the same people. And we knew it. We just couldn't prove it on some. And we were finally able to wrap some of them up. And that solved a lot of problems. And most of those burglaries are not just home or commercial buildings. Those also include auto burglaries. And the auto burglaries was what was killing us at the end of last year. I mean, we were getting 2-3 a day. But we finally did catch the person and we were able to tie him to, I think, 4 or 5. So, and I think she's been sent off. So we're still trying. There's, one goes away, 2 take its place. So we're still trying, and these guys are really working hard. They're trying to be seen at night while making contacts, while taking their calls for service. I know that they're out there patrolling, and I've gotten compliments from several citizens that, hey, I've seen officers out in my neighborhood. And that made me really happy, honestly, because we've had an issue before with that. Is there anything else? Do you have any questions? Sir?
Stepping in, doing what you're doing. It's a big step you're taking into doing this.
I appreciate that, sir. I have to say, I've gotten a lot of help. Wendy especially, Ms. Vossmer has also been a tremendous help. I can't thank them enough because there's some things that I just don't know, and they were able to come in and really help me out. So there was no way I could have done that by myself, and I appreciate all the help that I've gotten. And I'm just trying to do the best for you guys and for this city.
Thank you.
This is my home, just like it is y'all's. I grew up here, and it means a lot. And it's real important to me that we provide the best service that we can. So we're doing our best. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So consider and act upon what we just need to approve
Let's make a motion to.
entertain a motion to approve the Dalhart Police Department for fiscal year 2021 and racial profiling report.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Eloy.
Thank you.
Item number 6, discussion and direction on the establishment of a charter review committee.
Would you like for me to begin there?
Yes, please.
We'll get this worked out.
All right.
Mayor and council, this item is on the agenda this evening, simply to receive some direction. As you know, you would like to establish a charter committee. We can do that, but we do need some direction in terms of the composition of the committee, how many people. We also would like some direction because when the charter committee is appointed, they're going to come in and they're going to take a look at this document and realize how huge it is and what a challenge it is going to be. And so the question becomes, how can we make it easier for them to meet the council's goals? Do we want to identify those areas that we specifically want them to start with in the charter and make sure that they cover those? And if they come out with 37 different questions for the next ballot, then that might be enough and we stop their work there. Or do we want them just to work it page by page and, to get through it and come to you, and they may have 100 changes, and you can decide at that point how much of it you want to put on the ballot for 2023. But Greg and I just were looking for ways to break this down a little bit for them in order to make it a little bit less daunting than the job that it is. Because we'll be asking them to review what we have. We're looking at existing charters in other communities to see if they have anything that we'd like to include in our charter. We also have a lot of changes to state law, and we'll make sure that the language we have will reference those changes. We won't put those laws in here, but we'll reference them to make sure that they're included. And then, of course, we want to bring this back to you in time for you to have consider it, the questions that they're bringing forward with recommendations, and then you can make a decision on what you want to put on the ballot, if anything. You may decide you don't want to make any changes to it. Greg and I are already looking for examples of different charters of similar sizes city, and I am focusing on the Panhandle area, though I've pulled in a couple of smaller communities from other areas. We're also looking for additional resources to help us. Having done this, I will share with you, and the charter was much smaller than the one you have, that this is a tremendous undertaking, and it will take some time to do this. And we will need legal support to do it. And so we're looking for resources there. It's a great project. It's time to do it, but it's just that we would like to try and give it some structure as we move out. And so the first question is how do you want to appoint the committee? Because we will bring you a resolution at the meeting on the 14th that begins to identify how you're going to do all of this. And it just would make it easier if we could begin to bring together those parameters for the review.
How long a time limit do you think this would take?
If they go,
Months?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, months.
So this will go into our new city manager's
Yes.
lap or,
Yes.
or not lap,
It's on his list,
on his list.
It's on her list.
His or her list, yes.
any of the lists. Yes.
I think it'd be good for us to show some of the major problems that we see in it, to give them a little guidance. And then there's those little things in there that need to be.
Yeah, I mean, for
Tweak.
instance, there's, he is everything, you know, and we want to change that. And I don't know if all of those
No.
have to be separate questions. If they are, that is a lot of questions just in itself. And so, you know, some guidance, maybe one way to do this would be, we've had a lot of success with the council committee on the recruitment process. Maybe some council members would work with us to begin to bring it down and define those parameters to bring back to you. That might be an option as well.
So on this committee, are you looking for a council-based committee? Are you looking for a committee that involves senior guys at the city as well as others, or what are you thinking this committee is going to be made of?
I've seen it done several ways. I think that a committee that is made up of a couple of council members as well as citizens and then staffed is really probably in my mind the best model, because the council at least has an idea of the charter and some of the challenges with it and can speak to those challenges as part of the discussion with the rest of the committee. City manager and the attorney the same way, because we deal with it every day.
So do you think we want to form a council committee to help condense that?
It might be if we're not ready to give direction this evening on composition of the committee, that might be a good way to get it going. The council committee that you have appointed for the recruitment has done, you know, has really kept it going. And it's helped the discussion continue. That is a suggestion. You'll notice that there's a lot of questions in that agenda item about things that we need to be told, so we can bring back to you the documents you would like to see so we can get this process started.
So our charter is rather large compared to most cities. Would you?
I don't know about most cities, but it's pretty hefty.
Okay.
Chris, part of that is because it's the initial charter, and that's always going to be a bigger document. If you've amended charters, they generally become a little bit smaller.
Okay.
I don't see anybody volunteering.
So I know you're big on this charter. I would love it if you participate in that, and Dwayne as
I
well.
will. Yes.
If y'all try to tackle that. And if there's a third person that wants to be involved, that's great. If not, do we need three, or is?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Greg and I'll staff it,
Okay.
work with the committee. Three is if there's ever a vote on anything, whether to do something, 3 allows you to have a majority.
Okay. I would like to nominate Tim and Dwayne to be on that council committee to help get that condensed down for the charter.
And a third.
Is there a third?
She's looking at me. I know she is. It's funny.
I don't mind helping. I mean,
Ginger, that'd be great.
I don't mind helping.
Thank you.
Great. I will reach out to you all and we'll start looking at seeing if we can schedule something. If not later this week, then early next week. Okay, does that work?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
The initial output probably would be how we wanted to develop
Yes, sir.
wider council, correct? I mean, committee, yes.
Item number 7, consider and act upon adopting resolution 2022-01.
Mayor and council, the item before you this evening is the City of Dalhart investment policy. Per state law, the city, all cities in the state of Texas are required to have an investment policy, a designated investment officer, and certain things that you have to have in that policy. This particular policy was written by Brent before he left. And I have reviewed it and it seems very comprehensive to me and touches the base of the law that needs to be in here. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we don't do any investments outside of text pool and logic. We stay in those confines. It's the policies tend to, when you get into a larger city like San Antonio, it's a massive policy because they do a lot of investment. They do short-term, they do long-term, they do all sorts of things. But here it's a very simple, straightforward process. And I thought that Brett did a really good job capturing those state law. So it comes to you, it's supposed to come annually. And so it's before you this evening for consideration. The rest of your financial policies that have to do with purchasing and cash control and all of those other things generally come to you as part of your budget process. And I imagine your new city manager will make sure that that is part of their budget to you or close thereafter. I don't know if they'll do it immediately, but certainly within the first 6 months, I would think.
Any questions?
Yeah. Yes, I should say, excuse me.
What page are you on?
Well, it has to do with the title of it is on the Exhibit A of list of approved brokers, dealers, and financial institutes.
Mhm.
On the one, it'd be basically Wells Fargo is the concern, and probably some of the other one is, since it's no longer a local entity, does that need to be taken out of that? Does it need to stay in there? What does it need to do?
Well, it does, you mean the bank is no longer here?
Correct.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
And we don't do business. I'm looking at Wendy because I don't know who can answer it. We don't do business through Wells Fargo
No.
and Berlin. So it's
City
we're
does
just
not have
basically
anything with Wells
nothing
Fargo.
with Wells
So
Fargo.
and I didn't know, I didn't put that 2 and 2 together. So yes, it can come out, it can come off the list.
I mean, I just asked if it should or should not,
We can make that change.
would it need to be replaced?
We have a number of approved institutions here. I'm not
We're in
sure.
good shape on
I
that.
think we're in good shape.
Okay. Thank you.
I know this was an exciting policy to read.
Fun.
It's important,
I know.
very important. And Brett did a really good job with it.
Very good at that.
So we just need to move to accept it.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to accept the financial.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? City Council will now convene into executive session under Texas Local Government 551.074 for discussion of personnel, discuss appointment of the municipal judge, appointment of the secretary to the city council. Time is 7:19 PM.
Thank you.
Is it after 11?
City Council is reconvening from executive session at 8:06 PM. No action was taken. Council is going to have a appointment to on the next agenda, maybe on the next agenda to make an appointment for the municipal judge and appointment of the secretary to the city council with some stipulations. We'll get a contract in place for both positions, and then we will consider and act upon. Item number 9, discussion of future agenda items for city council. Anyone? Item 10, comments from city manager and department heads.
I just have a couple of things. I want to just mention, since this video goes on our website, that we are holding a job fair on Thursday, March the 10th, from 1 to 5 at City Hall. And we're going to be recruiting for CDL drivers and for public works personnel and for police officer. So we hope everyone will show up for that. The Emergency Response Center RFQ is out. I'm also doing this because people watch it. They're interested to know. We've put it in the Amarillo paper. We're not sure it got into the Lubbock paper, but it's in the Amarillo paper. It's in our local newspaper. It's on our website. And so hopefully it will go well. Questions are due to me by the 9th of March. If they have any questions about the RFQ or the project, they have to submit those in writing to me. Then I will answer them and put the answers on the website. It's their responsibility to look. So far, I haven't had any questions, and so I don't know if that's good or if that's bad, because people haven't seen it yet. So we hope that we'll have lots of questions. And the other thing I would offer is that the profile for the city manager, the draft, should be in this week. And I will get that distributed to everyone as soon as I receive it. We sent them the last pieces of information that they requested last Wednesday, I think. So I'm excited to see it.
Great. Any department heads got anything to add? Dennis, how many employees are you down? Are y'all fully staffed or y'all short some employees?
Curtis is down 4.
4?
Water Driver's down 1. And PD 2.
2 right now, potentially
Several more.
several more.
Hopefully with this job fair.
We hope. It's the first time, so we'll see how it goes.
Great. Anything else?
I'll second that.
Changed it up.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Opposed?